That is the push chop. And it is the only cutting technique that you should focus on mastering, whether you are brand new to knives, you don't even have your first chef's knife yet, or you're just getting into culinary school, or you have a giant collection. You need to master the push chop. Why? Well, there's three main reasons. But before I explain those reasons, what is the push chop? Basically, what you are doing is coming into your ingredient, into the product, at a forward downward motion, roughly, let's say, a 45-degree angle, like this. So as I'm moving down, I'm also moving forward. And then when you hit the ingredient and you hit the board, you finish with an ever slight push into the cutting board. That is going to allow you to basically make sure that you're getting all the way through. For something that's not as wide this way as this English cucumber piece, not a big deal. But when you get into larger ingredients, that little finish does the trick. So that's it. That's the push chop. It's a downward forward pushing motion into the product while keeping your knife up and down. Okay? I might have a little angle. You might too. A little here, a little there, you're gonna be fine. But that's the idea, is you're going straight down into the board. Now, why? Why is that so important to learn? The first reason, it forces you to properly position your claw, as people call it, your guide hand. Okay, so when you are using a knife, you're going to position your guide hand like this. Your fingertips are down away from where your knife is going to be. You're not up like this, and you're definitely not out like that. Your fingertips are down away on an angle. Your thumb is usually back here off the board, or it's on the product. It depends on what you're doing, but it's out of the way. And then what you're doing is you're creating this flat space, because of your fingertips being down, between these two knuckles, where you are using that space on your finger. Sometimes it's your middle. For some people, it might be your pointer, or a combination. For me, it's always my middle. And that right there is going to stabilize your knife. And wherever this goes, your knife goes. And if you do that properly, you shouldn't cut yourself. Accidents do happen, but that is how you position your guide hand. Now, there are other cutting techniques that people say to do first, where you're not relying so much on this space of your finger. And with that, accidents happen a lot more, because you get lazy and you end up putting your fingertips out. I've seen it a million times. Okay, so when you're doing that push chop, you are completely relying on your guide hand, your guide finger, to aim into the product. And it forces you to keep it straight up and down and your fingers away. So from a safety perspective, it's great. But not just safety, but it develops this hand muscle memory, so that when you go into other cutting techniques, boom, you're right there. So that's number one. The second reason that the push chop is so important to master first is because as I am moving my knife into the board, I'm keeping it as vertical as possible, or perpendicular to the board. And with any knife, regardless of the steel type, the edge geometry, and regardless of your cutting board, that motion right there is going to do the least amount of damage to your edge. Every time you go into your board, you are dulling it slowly, but it is happening. By going down forward, it's not super fast and aggressive like the tap chop, which I absolutely love, which you've probably seen in many of these videos. But this nice pace, you get in, you feel the cutting board, you feel the ingredient, that little push forward. It's just easier on the blade, so it's going to allow your edge to last longer and stay sharper during that process, especially if you're honing it. And since many people aren't working on low Janka scale, Hinoki, Larch wood, other cutting boards that are really good for your knife, you're working with higher Janka wood like maple and cherry and acacia and teak and all these bamboo and stuff like that. Some people are using glass. Oh, please stop using glass. Or the high density plastic boards, they're just really hard on your edge. I would use a fine Japanese knife on one of those cutting boards without thinking twice, but the only cutting motion that I would do would be that push chop. So that's number 2. Number 3, this motion, that muscle memory is going to allow you to transition into the other cutting techniques. Now, the rock chop, which is this is what most people learn first, and it develops the laziest habits, and I think is incredibly unsafe, and it's terrible for your knife. When you are pivoting down your board and you're doing these tiny little lateral motions, you're dulling the crap out of your knife. It's just gonna happen, especially if you're not on a soft board. So with that motion as well, what I see a lot of people do is their guide hand gets really lazy, because you can do this and you can be on holding your product back here and you're gonna be good to go. You can still move down the board in a relatively consistent manner. But push chopping, if I were to just try and go down the board, you can probably see my blade is hitting like it's just harder to do and aim. Tap chopping, I could probably do a little bit better, more consistent down the board, but the rock chop, I can do very consistent and I don't need any guide whatsoever. So because you can rock chop consistently without your guide hand, that's where accidents happen, because your fingers end up coming out, your thumb moves forward because you're not forced to keep it like that. Now, rock chop. As much as I think it is the worst cutting technique to focus on and the worst for your knife, there's a time and a place for it. But here's the deal. This type of forward motion with the push chop. Look at my wrist. Right now it's pretty straight. But now look. When I get into that rock, all I'm doing is basically keeping the tip of the knife on the board and creating a bend in my wrist. But if I were to go back to the push chop, watch how easy I can go into the rock. Allows you to transition into that very easily. Now, slicing. Might not think much of slicing because it's just usually a one-off or a two-motion type of thing. But for slicing, a lot of it begins with a push forward and then a finish back. So your push chop, let me get rid of my little stem base here. Push chop. Now take that and think of more of a front-back slice. But it all starts with the push. With my guide hand there, at the back end, because of the angle of that tomato, I was not so much relying on the front as I normally would. I'm also going a bit slower with that slice, but right here, push forward, pull back. Push forward, pull back. That push anchors your initial slice, and then you can get in. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. Slicing begins with the push chop, that same muscle memory. The rock chop allows you to transition. There are times, especially when I'm working with, say, green onion or chives, that I will start off on a push. And then when I get to the very end, because I always, for green onions, I'll do the white side first, which is the root end, which is much firmer. So it's easy to go in with a push. And then when I get to the thinner, looser, hollow green tip, I'll transition. Sometimes I'll go back and forth, and it's just really easy to do. So slicing, it works for that. Then there's the tap chop. The tap chop is the most advanced cutting technique because it requires speed. You shouldn't do the tap chop slow. like this, it's very, very awkward. I should probably get rid of my cucumber. And you know what? I forgot my bench scraper, which happens a lot on this channel. But I've got this Bunka that's got a nice height to it, so I can use that. Oh, and for those of you who may be curious, never scrape your knife in towards the product. Instead, you want to push the product on, but if you are going to move it, just on the lowest angle possible, so you're getting underneath of it and you're not grinding that edge into the board this way, which is very different than a slight push that way. Anyway, okay, back to this mushroom. If you're tap chopping slowly like this, it's just very awkward. Very awkward. When you get some speed into that, it makes it easier. But in order to get that speed and have decent accuracy with that tap chop, you're relying on your guide hand, which now that you've mastered the push chop, you already have that muscle memory. And you can come in and you can easily do a fast tap chop. So although the push motion down and forward isn't exactly the tap chop, it's more the guide hand practice, but also doing this at a decent speed will allow you to gain a bit of confidence before going into the tap. Whenever I'm push chopping, that right there, that's about as fast as I go. But for a tap chop, I can get a lot faster. If you try and go wicked fast with the push chop, it doesn't really work because there's too much movement. Your entire elbow, arm, and everything are moving with the blade, where the tap chop is primarily in your wrist, and then depending on the density and maybe how high you're going and tired you may get, you will see that your arm will move with it. So let's recap. The only cutting technique that you should focus your attention on mastering is the push chop. Why? First and foremost, for safety and muscle memory. We'll put those into the same category, and that is it forces you to position your guide hand properly so you can aim into your ingredient. I'm telling you, more accidents happen because people do this with their fingers, or they try and catch a falling knife. That happens quite a bit. You will lose fingernails, I'm telling you. And right now on social media, there's a viral video of a man chopping an onion wicked fast, but he's coming on a weird angle. He ends up filleting off the entire front of his middle finger right there, and then just keeps going like nothing happened, like his brain didn't have time to register. That happened because of lazy guide hand habits, and because he was going way too fast and came way too high back off the ingredient, the onion, and just wrecked himself. Don't be that person if you've seen that video. It's pretty gnarly. But I've lost chunks of fingers in my years with knives. It's not fun, but it's going to happen. You know why a lot of those accidents happen to my thumb in particular? Because I was taught, focus on the rock chop. And I did. And my thumb would creep up there, boom, not fun. Since I have focused primarily on push chopping and then tapping, but mainly push chopping, I don't think I've cut myself doing a push chop. I can't even remember. Tap chopping recently? Yes, I have. That's a whole other story. It was even on camera. But accidents do happen. Anyway, it forces you to maintain position with your guide hand. The next thing is it is much easier on your knife. When you are coming into product in that downward, slight push forward type of motion, woo, apples flying everywhere. At a little bit of a slower pace, slower than the rock chop for a lot of people, and slower than the tap chop, it just feels better. And then the final thing, when you are transitioning into other cutting techniques like a slice, it makes life easier. And if you do need to rock chop, you have your guide hand muscle memory, and then you have that forward type of motion that you just need to add a little curve to. Now, one last thing that I will say about the rock chop and why it is also incredibly dangerous and why you should not be focusing on it as your primary cutting technique. And it's what I just did right there. I don't know if you saw, but towards the middle there, let me get another slice here. See that push? If I were to rock chop this whole thing, watch my wrist. Right about here. Now this is a shorter knife, but look how high I have to go. When you are depending on the tip to maintain, but then you have to come up on really high angles, the further your knife comes away from the board like that, in that technique, you'll see you'll start to move around, your wrist comes up on a weird angle, it's not very comfortable at all. Not a single bit of that is comfortable to do. But when you get good at the push chop, all the movement is happening throughout my entire arm. I'm not bending my arm awkwardly, cutting my ingredient with ease. I have this position, muscle memory is there. It makes life just better. And that's it. Focus on the push chop. Again, if you're brand new to knives or you have a giant collection, it doesn't matter. Master that technique. It will make all the others better. It'll make it safer. And it'll save your knife from dulling like crazy into the board. I'm Chef Brandon with Cutlery More. Thanks so much for tuning in. I had other knives here I was going to show you, but I just got so into it with this Zuma, which, if you're curious, this is the Zuma 7-inch Bunka. This has a BG42 powdered steel core coming in at a 62 Rockwell. We have a Sanmai construction with a forced blackened Karoshi that will not fade or wear over time. And we have an ebony wood handle. This is hand forged out of China with American steel based off of the Japanese Bunka. But we have tons of other knives at Cutlery More that you can check out, but I don't care what knife you have. Push chop. That's it. I'm gonna have that song stuck in my head all day. You know which one.